All right, so let's start then. Hello.
Hello. Just quickly brushing my hair.
I love that you just like do all your beauty regimes. You seriously look fabulous. You do. You're beautiful. And I just noticed, like I said, that you have green eyes, and I'm like, so jealous. You know, I was hoping that my Dylan or the second child might have green eyes, and his eyes just stayed a really dark, undefinable colour, really. You know, like I thought, this is my punishment, wishing for green eyes, and then you get this kind of really weird, muddly, I don't know, whatever colour. You know what I mean?
Well, have you got blue eyes?
Me, I have blue eyes.
But yeah, so I started out with blue eyes as a baby.
Yeah, most of them do, and then you turn into your special colour. But it's beautiful. I think you look stunning. Anyway, let's get started. I'm so happy to talk to you. It's so exciting, and I'm really kind of looking in the background. I think I see a bottle of gesso there. Oh. Anyway, we'll talk about supplies in a sec. I want to talk to you about your self-defined job title of, I think I pronounce it this way. Is it artomologist?
That's exactly correct.
Artomologist. How did you come up with it, and why?
Well, I started off in my artistic career as a photographic artist, and I specialise in ladybirds. So when I would meet people and they'd say, "What do you do?" and I would say, "I photograph ladybirds," they just sort of like, "And what do you do for a day job?" So I came up with artomologist, and people would go, "Oh, right."
Really? They're still...
Hang on. What's an artomologist? Or people would just say, "Oh," as if they knew what it was.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's like a play on the artomology thing, and I've written quite a few books about ladybirds, and one of my books just won the Environmental Book Prize in Australia.
I know. Congratulations. I saw. That must have been awesome. It's so cool.
Yeah, so I still photograph bugs and things, but it has to be really, really special to make me want to do it now.
Oh, really?
Yeah, like Monet's garden. I was very excited about photographing ladybirds there. Because I feel like I've photographed every ladybird in the world.
And so, because I know we're going to talk about art as well, but I am actually, because look, I have, you sent me a package of your stuff, and it's all been used. Look, I've got your calendar here.
Oh,
yeah. And I have one of you here. You see, it's hold on. Sorry if that's the cleavage. No. See, I've got your, this is one of your cards. It's exceptionally stunning. You know, I'm not just saying that because that's you, but I was just like, oh my God, you know, because as I started off I did photography as well, and always tried to get the nice macros and whatever. And so as someone who has tried and dabbled in that world, I've just absolutely been blown away by your photography. And yeah, so I want to go and talk to the artist, but I just wondered about, you know, I mean, if you do this stuff with, this is lovely as well, see, this is shells, but anyway, if you do this with ladybirds, how do you go about doing that? And butterflies, because you must have got them in some kind of studio, did you? Or did, like this?
Some of them, well, that one's actually in a butterfly house.
Oh, okay,
so right. Butterflies, they have to be in controlled conditions, not because they misbehave, because they've actually got quite bad eyesight, but they can pick up on lights and dark, so they're very nervy butterflies. So they're hard to photograph, to sneak up on. But you have to do them in butterfly houses in controlled conditions, because when they flutter around, they get so raggedy, and that happens out in nature very, very quickly. So a lot of those are in butterfly houses. That one, I think, was in Germany. Okay. So I've had a lot of exhibitions all around the world, and a lot of them are at botanic gardens and insect houses. So that one was, this is so funny, was an actual butterfly princess in Germany. She would have been a princess if, you know, there was still royalty in Germany. She still calls herself a princess. And she has a butterfly house. Wow. So she is an actual butterfly princess.
Oh, wow. That's amazing. We could do a painting on that, can't you? Butterfly princess.
Oh, totally. The butterfly fairy princess. Yes. And she looked a bit like Bridget Bardot, so...
Oh, wow. And then and does the same go for the ladybirds? Or do you kind of collect them and bring them into your studio?
That's outdoors. A lot of them are outdoors. So my skill with the photographic art is controlling the light.
Yes.
So
I always say to Andy, sorry to interrupt you, I always say to Andy, it's all about light. And then he always takes the piss. He goes, once in a while, we'll take a photo and I go, it's all about light, Tam. But it is true.
You've got to paint with the light. But it's controlling the shadows.
Yes, yes.
Just as with drawing, you know, if we want to draw faces, that sort of thing, it doesn't come alive until you've got the shadows and the highlights, and that's when you get that volume. And it's the same with the photography. It's just getting the right kind of shadow. So you don't notice the shadows. You just notice the subject matter.
Yeah. Yeah, well, I'm just blown away by both your art and your photography. And of course, you know that Dylan loves your little T-shirt, right? Is it Frog or the Frogologist?
Yeah. So that was I did an exhibition with the Perth Zoo, and that was for Year of the Frog, and it was so I flew all around the place photographing frogs, which are so
they're stunning. Cute. Yeah. They're stunning and they're so shiny, aren't they? Oh, God. Cool. Okay, so entomologist Jane Davenport. And you have the Institute of Cute. Best name ever. Right?
Yeah, it is, actually. I will accept that. It is very cute.
It is an awesome name. And that's where you sell it is. This is both a real life shop. You have an actual shop, don't you? Am I correct? Yeah. And you also have your online version of that. Am I right?
Yes.
Okay, and what do you sell there?
Well, it's part gallery, so it's got my artwork there. And I just got to the stage in my career where I was that whole gallery system takes a lot of time. It's very, very tiring, and you're spending all the time doing that instead of working on your art and enjoying it. It sort of sucks the life out of being an artist, that the gallery system's pretty intense. So I decided to open up my own gallery, and I've also got enough licensed products that I work with other companies, and that's at the front of the store. And then because I have such an addiction to art supplies, and since I started journaling, journaling is kind of slotted into my life in such a big way. It's like this wedge, and it's sort of pushing everything aside, and I've got journaling supplies in that, so I actually have an art supply store. Part of it is art supply store, so that's the best, because you know I can go mad ordering stuff.
Yes, I love that about you. You know, you are sort of is the word unscrupulous when it comes to art supplies? Like most people go. I'm
a degenerate art supply junkie.
Yes, and most people, most people try to go. Oh, I shouldn't. I'm holding back, and they're trying to really hold it. And you know, I'm buying it all, and then I'm going to do a course on it.
Yeah.
See, yes, and that's smart thinking.
For months, I was like, I better get that, just so I can find out what it does. But every single thing you try is slightly different.
It's true. But do you find, because I have that, I mean, I also go through phases. If I go to Hobbycraft here, I come back with just endless amounts and think, oh, do I really need this? And am I going to really use it? Do you have the same problem? So that you go, oh, I've got these 50 million pens, and what am I going to do with them?
Well, I do have that, but I do use them.
Okay.
And you end up with your favourites, and you go through phases. I think the trick is to make sure nothing is in the boxes. So once you get home from the craft fair or from the art supply store, you've got to pull it all out, put it in cute tins, whatever, and have it out so they're out and about. Markers have to lay flat. So you might need to get something special to put them in. But if you can see them, and all the colour, I mean, we're colour people, artists, so, it makes you feel good anyway.
It does. It's like therapy, isn't it?
But, I mean, if we collected shoes, that would cost a lot more.
Yes.
Art supplies, art supplies aren't, I don't think they're that bad.
Depending on what you buy, of course. If you go golden, no. But if you, I mean, comparatively, yes. But
golden for journals isn't the right product to use anyway. It's too shiny. You can use a Sharpie on it, and that's about it. There are too many other nice pens in the world.
Right, yes. So, sorry, about licensing. We were talking about licensing and got interrupted. So you're saying, yes, it's not as easy to get your stuff licensed because you need to have quite unique work.
It has to be completely, really unique, or just the first little cusp of a new era. And it also has to be saleable as a birthday card for occasions.
Yeah.
So this is my current, my stationery range. They're really trying to fit in my illustrations and paintings, that sort of thing, but it's harder to fit those things into a celebration. If you think about when people buy cards, it's like, and when you think of things that way, which is boring because it's logistical and blah 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 and very commercial, but that's the reality. That it has to be a birthday card, or occasions.
Yeah.
So, and they're the cards that do well, and that's the sort of things that people will do. But my best licensed things are calendars. So I've had about 23 calendars of my work published around the world, and posters. But a lot of those art licensing companies have hit the wall with the GFC, and I've had 3 that have closed down. And if any of them close down, the last people to get paid are the artists.
I see.
So, but, you know, that's just, we get to do things that we love.
Yeah.
But licensing, it sort of seems like it's going to be fantastic. It only really works if you've got lots of it going on.
Yes.
Which, you've really got to be going to exhibitions. And so once you've got a couple going, then you sort of have a bit of a ball rolling, and you know how to work with companies and that sort of thing. But I probably will do something about that, like as an online course, just to share what I know about it, like preparing your work for it and to sort of get yourself under the noses. So your little drawings, I've bought some of your artwork with the little teddy bear people flying around. That's totally licensable. That's just cute.
Thank you. Because it's something it's something, you know, I'm because for me the art is now kind of really becoming an income that I can support my family with, and I'm continually thinking both I want to, you know, send love and art into the world, and also just make money, not, you know, as a money grabbing person, but to be able to support my family. And it seems that licensing, if you do it well and if you get a good deal, can really help, you know, bring in an income for you, like another income stream. Like they call them income streams, don't they?
Yeah,
but it does seem to be
income as well, because you're using the same image over and over again. So with my work, I've got it in. It's been on clothing, it's, you know, in homewares, it's in stationery, on calendars. So using this, you've already done the work, and then it gets...
Exactly, so you don't have to redo anything, it's passive. Yes, it's a brilliant way, but it seems, definitely not an easy thing to do. So anyway, I just thought, let's hear on your experience with licensing deals, because the only other person I really know that has a massive licensing deal is Kelly Ray Roberts in the art world. And then there's a few... who I know, someone called gorgeous.co.uk. That's her brand, and she does these little cute girls, and I see her cards everywhere in the shops. So there's a few people, but very, you know, not a lot of people that I know are able to kind of manage it and get a good deal going. So it's interesting.
And the other thing is you might have a good deal going for 3 years. It's renegotiating.
I see.
It's actually that. But if anyone ever comes along to you with a contract, you really need to understand word for word what's in there, and have someone that actually knows about licensing, not just a bog standard lawyer. They just check in to see if things are legal, but there's all sorts of little tricks in there, and you do, unfortunately, the whole thing with licensing, the definition is the exploitation of the artist. So the word exploitation is built right in there, and that's
horrible, isn't it? It's such a shame.
That's what's happened. That's just the commercial reality.
Yes. Okay, so now I'm interested. I mean, of course, I've interviewed you before once on the site, and you said there you started off as a fashion illustrator when you came straight out of school. Is that right? Yeah.
So that was my first job.
Did you study that? Did you go to fashion academy or something, or no? Oh, okay.
It was random. I started working. I was always the kid that could draw at school. When I got up to year 11 and 12, my art teacher had been a maths teacher. Nothing there's anything wrong with that. But I had her as a maths teacher, and we just didn't get on, and I just thought, oh, no. So I didn't do art at school. You know, I saw the kids doing it. It just took up so much time because, you know, it's just so I was just one of those people who could draw. And then the girl, I was working and one of the girls was there, she was leaving and she was the fashion illustrator and she just sat there drawing all day and I thought, oh, man, that's a job. I could do that. So I just ended up doing that. And then it evolved into textile design and then fashion design. And I was in London. So I studied in Australia, Paris and London. And fashion illustration is just so much fun. But it's the fashion industry is such high pressure. I just got sick of it. So, you know, I was fashion illustrator, then went through textile design, fashion photography, and then I got brave enough to say, you know what I really want to be is an artist. And
so where did your drawing skills come from? Because you said, oh, no, I was just a girl that could draw. Are you one of these horrible, horrible people that was born and could draw? Because
you know, I was thinking about this. The other girl in my class who could draw, we both had the best pencil sets, like this big 72 set of, I had this Faber-Castell, like a really fancy set of pencils that my mother had given me. So because you've got such good tools, you use them all the time. Usually with kids you give them rubbish, or people give them these rubbish student quality, you know, hard, waxy pencils. I think they put people off drawing. And I don't know if it's because we were doing lots of drawing, so that's why we were given the pencils, but I am one of those annoying people, I'm sorry. It's like anything. If you're doing it all the time, you know, you're practicing all the time, you know, is that going to be upside down or the right way around? Effort makes perfect.
It does. You're right. No, because what I notice when I look at your art, it is like you are, you know, in the mixed media world, there's a lot of different styles, and so we have the kind of the more primitive, simplified, let's say, girls or whatever we create, you know, and it'd be more primitive looking. And then yours are really anatomically correct. Do you know what I mean? So your skill, you know, you know what I mean? And some people kind of aspire to that. Some people don't want to do particularly anatomically correct stuff. And what I love about yours is that it's anatomically correct and it's still whimsical and it's mixed media. So usually you go, you know what I mean? Usually you go either the way of anatomically beautiful nudes and it's all about anatomy, or you go sort of the whimsical way and the cutesy way, and it doesn't matter if an arm is slightly too long or too short. But you've sort of combined the two, which I find really fascinating. And I was just really, wondering about how you've how you were able to kind of just capture the anatomically correct stuff, you know.
It's because I've done so much life drawing, Tam. I've done so many of those classes, and we have one in Byron Bay called Dr. Sketchies, and it started in New York, and it's at the pub, and they have burlesque, not nude, people, and you're drawing there with a glass of wine.
All right, so
that's nice thing, yeah. But if people are interested in really, really getting their drawing, just freeing yourself of perfection, that thing of trying to be perfect is life drawing, where you're capturing gestures, and it's really intimidating at first. You know, you're staring at a nude body. They're not always, you know, young, gorgeous girl. They're sometimes a really old man. And when a really old man bends over, spread-legged in front of you to draw, that's a challenge. That has happened to me a fair few times.
I would say that's less intimidating than a very young, beautiful-looking person. Well, both is probably intimidating. I wouldn't want to look at the man's bend over.
Yeah. It's just lines and shapes. That's what I do.
Yes, exactly. No,
just lines and shapes, Jane. Just lines and shapes. Okay. You can move if you like. That's all right.
I mean, I've done...
The human body is amazing, but that is very, very freeing. But it's a confidence thing, and confidence doesn't come from me telling or anyone else telling you, oh, you're doing that well, or isn't that nice. Confidence comes from doing something that you thought was impossible. So you thought something's, or I've learnt this off you. The monster, the what do we call him? We made our
empathy
monster.
Empathy, you mean the empathy monster? Yes.
So yeah, just that gremlin, that inner critic, and silencing that is actually it's difficult, but it can be done, and it's just letting go of perfection. And the sooner you can do that,
you're actually
the growth.
Yeah, you will eventually create perfection when you don't want it anymore. When you don't need the perfection.
My favourite artist is Botticelli, and he wasn't perfect. His drawing, the necks are too long, like technically.
Yes.
And he was roundly criticised in his time. The foreshortening is weird. They're strange images, and Van Gogh, so many of the most beautiful art ever created, none of it's perfect.
No. And it doesn't have to be. It absolutely doesn't have to be.
But it's when you can accept that, that's the start of when you start becoming an artist with a capital A, I think. It's that starting the art for a start, persevering, and as you know, through the ugly stage, and there's always one of those. And then there's that, and once you get through that, and you accept what you're doing, that's when your style comes through, and that's what you're talking about with me, which I haven't thought about it in those terms, but you're right. Yeah, I like having it anatomically correct. In fact, I find it hard to relax with my drawing until it's looking correctish, and then I can exaggerate. But I like parts of it. I like parts of the drawing to be tight and other parts to be loose.
And yes, and I can really see that in your work. That's completely there, because you'll have exactly the focus. If you do a mermaid or whatever, the upper body and the whole the physique will be anatomically correct, and then you go crazy and beautifully crazy on the mixed media, let's say, background, and you have an awesome skill that way. Really, yeah. I love it.
Thanks.
I love it. Yeah. So let's continue with a few more questions. Yes, you happy? Cool.
Always.
So I had a question about, the impression I get from your sort of development in life and your artistic development and growth and all this is that you love your photography, but painting and art journaling is really what's called you. And you said yourself earlier that you you said, I just want to be an artist rather than a fashion illustrator or a photographer. And so I was wondering, what does painting and journaling do for you on an emotional level?
You just disappear into it. When I'm working on my own photography, it's the same thing. So that's photographic art, because you're not doing it for a client. The client is you. Like, you're not doing it for anyone other than yourself. And the same thing with art journaling, with I've always loved drawing, but I lose myself. That time just sort of disappears. And what I love about painting and drawing is that the imaginative side of your brain is going bananas, and the problem solving is going on as well. So it makes me feel very alive. And then when I finished, I feel quite exhausted but exhilarated. So it's a really nice feeling. And I've just, every time I do it, make that space, I know that it's good for me. I love it.
And do you ever actively try to process something for yourself? So I don't know, you're pissed off with whoever, or something has happened for you. Do you then actively go and sit down and maybe process that through art? It might be that you don't, because I know I sometimes do that, and I wondered if you did.
Not so much. When I first started art journaling, that's what I was doing. What all my first journals are. So I don't show them to anyone. I don't really want to read them again. And I think I've sort of because of the journaling, I've become a lot more unraveled,
yes, or untriggered or something.
Untangled.
Yes.
Because I don't bottle things up because I suppose they are coming out all the time.
But maybe more subconsciously.
I'm one of those people that I can't really tell what's bothering me straight away.
I see. Yes.
So I have to work on that.
So you might. I see. Yeah. So you might find yourself a little bit down or whatever, not knowing, and then just start journaling without even...
that feeling where you just have to have a good cry. But I haven't had that I'm just thinking now, I haven't had that for a long time. Because I suppose with journaling, you are dealing with that as it happens. Yes, or maybe my life's just much happier or something. Or
well, I do think that you probably also intercepting that. So by journaling a lot and just having even an intuitive or subconscious kind of expression of whatever's going on for you, you then get less triggered anyway. And so you might actually intercept getting to a point of being really pissed off or down or depressed. So I find that for myself that whenever I paint, like you describe, I get into this sort of a trance-like state and just love it. And something is poured out. And sometimes it's just happy that comes out. And sometimes it's something buried that I haven't been able to process in another way without even realizing that there was something to process. You know what I mean?
I'll often paint happy things even when I'm not feeling happy. So sometimes if I'm really stressed, I do this thing called comfort drawing where all the faces are the girls are just sort of really looking into me, just really... But it's all very soft and subtle palette. So, but I'm not always aware of that. It's sort of, I looked back at that and saw that as a pattern. But I suppose that's part of the journaling thing is you can see patterns and you can see things that come up over and over. And of course, some of it just happens, and then months later you look back and you think, oh my God, that's what that was about.
Yes.
And it's also made me, I suppose I can tell what's bothering me and I avoid it. I've been able to chop out a few things in my life that I don't need. You know, I suppose you get to know yourself a little bit better.
Yes.
So that's why I just, sort of, you were one of the entries into this mixed media journaling world for me. And I just found that whole art therapy and the art, heart and healing, I found that all really, really interesting. And I went to a real life art therapy class here and I found it fascinating. Just how that, how it really solidly connects up.
Yes.
But it's just, you don't have to tangle yourself up about it and analyse it. It's just it's just interesting.
Yes.
It's nice to get it out.
And exactly, and it can be very self-discovering. And it doesn't have to be. So it could, like you said, you can suddenly discover, oh God, what was that all about? But quite often there's a lot of subconscious stuff going on, or just expressing, and you don't need to even, like you say, analyze it or name it or label it. It's just, you're just doing it, and that's for me the spiritual side of the art stuff as well. It's just very being in the now, just doing and being with it, and then perhaps later on rediscovering something about yourself. But it's not the point necessarily. I like that. Yes. Well, okay. I wanted to ask you just one of those fun questions because you are the queen of art supplies.
Where's my crown?
It is. Yes, you should have a crown. I have one actually.
Yeah.
I would give it to you if I could. Yeah. You see, you should have one with pencils. You should have a crown made out of pencils. Oh my God.
Totally. Oh no, mine would be made out of pro markers and aqua markers.
Okay.
Oh, and sharp paint markers, yeah. They're my favourite things.
I recently bought one of those pro markers. Is that one of these? Hold on. Is it one of these?
That's the beautiful creature there.
I like him, actually, yeah.
Oh, do you want to... I can't even show you. That is just a quarter.
Oh my goodness!
Of my marker collection.
So, because
seriously weird.
But do you use them a lot? Because I don't tend to use them a lot. In addition to, I tend to be, watercolor crayons and acrylics and pencils. I don't use them.
Put them over the top.
Yeah, as outlines.
With pencils, they blend pencils.
Like a Okay, I'm gonna set myself the challenge, because for a very long time, what I've tried to do was to move away from outlining things, and when I think of markers, I think, oh, I'm going to use that as outlining. You see,
a lot of them are very light colours because they're transparent. They're not opaque.
Okay.
So they're, especially the alcohol markers, like what that is. They're very, very clear.
I see.
And all the really light colours, you know, the Copics and the Tombow. Like I love these brush markers too. Those sort of ones. But I've hundreds. I have 1,336 coloured pencils.
Did you count them all? That's amazing.
I got my hands to count them.
Okay, so now, as you are the queen of supplies, if you could take with you 3 art materials only, but paper, pencil, and eraser have already been provided. 3.
Okay.
Do you have me choose 3?
Can gesso have been provided as well? Is that part of the paper?
Gesso, not really. okay. Well, add gesso in. Yeah, gesso has also been provided.
Well, I would take Liquitex gesso, definitely.
Right.
Because that for journaling, that's the best.
Okay.
Does that mean I can just take one marker, or I can take a box of markers?
Okay, yeah, I haven't thought that through.
Okay, well, because you haven't thought of it, I'm just going to say I'm going to have a box of Prismacolors.
That's the pencils, yes. Prismacolor pencils.
Yeah, and I've got a new... Oh, wait a minute. And then I would also take my Peerless.
Oh, what's this?
This. That is the paint.
Oh.
That's the paint on there. It's watercolour.
Oh, wow.
It was invented in the late 1890s. It's the most beautiful watercolour paint ever. And this is one of my... I'm just so mad about these paints.
Wow. Yeah. So they're like a booklet. They're like a set.
There's a Jane Davenport set that's just coming out.
You've got sheets of slices of like slices of cheese. You've got slices of watercolour paint. That's amazing.
Look. See, then what I've done is I've got a YouTube video. It's so funny. That is my Peerless palette.
Oh, yes.
And that's the paint on there, flat. And then that fits inside my journal. And I made a video of it and was talking to the people at Peerless.
Yeah.
And they said, well, we'll do a set for you, because, la, la, la. And we want to do a Jane Davenport set. So can you pick out your favourite colours? And I really tried. And I just said, well, how about we put in all the colours and you make up some new colours? So that's what they ended up doing. Look.
That is so cool.
It's my first art product.
Oh, my God. So these are small bits of paint, basically, dry paint, yes?
Yeah, paint is on that card, that special film.
Yes.
And then you lift it off with the paintbrush.
Yes.
And they're just like normal paints.
Yes, like a normal watercolour paint. That's fantastic.
Yeah. Oh, no, that's the aqua markers there. Wait a minute. I get very excited about this term, so sorry.
No, go for it.
That's
it's beautiful.
See how vibrant they are?
Fantastic.
And I'll show you, I can compare it with my Winsor Newton set, which was very expensive, and it's just crap.
I suppose it's similar to the crayons in a way, in the sense that it's a type of paint that you can lift off, isn't it, with your brush? It's beautiful. The colours are very bright.
Pure watercolour. So it's a watercolour paint, like a pan set. It's just invented in the late 1890s by a genius, and only small little companies have ever owned it, so no one's ever heard of it outside of America.
So that we can buy from the Institute of Cute. Can we buy that from the Institute of Cute?
Yeah.
Oh, fantastic.
But whether you buy them off me or the Post America, the colours, I could lick them, but probably wouldn't be very good. Okay, so we'll take those.
Oh, yes. And then the last one.
Brush?
What?
Or was that in the...
Oh, no, sorry. Brushes are included. Yeah.
Okay, brushes. Because then I would take aquash.
Okay.
With the water in the handle, because that's handy.
Okay.
Prismacolor pencils, that, and probably some sort of markers. So
I must get going on the markers, because I know Adriana Almanza, Addie, you know her.
Yeah.
She uses, of course, loads of markers. And I always think, God, it looks great. I just don't know how to use them. Or, I'm not that good with the markers, but people keep talking about them.
So come do my course, John.
Yes. I shall when I have the time. I would love to. There's lots of courses I go, oh yeah, I should go on that course and I should go on that course. And I want to support all you guys anyway. But then I go, oh no, I'm going to have another baby.
Well, you've got to do what's important.
Yes.
The thing with markers, that was my first tool. That's fashion illustration. It's very much using markers because they're instant, there's no mess, and you've got all the colours and it just looks really, and they self-blend a little bit.
So are they water? They're not water soluble, right? So you can't.
No, but these ones are.
Oh yes, I heard about these. You need to move it. Yeah, I've heard about these. Yes, I've heard about them. Yeah.
So that's amazing. Watercolour in there.
Yeah, that's amazing. I wanted to get some of those as well. I've heard of that because I was in Hobbycraft and saw them. I was like, what? What is this? What? And I kind of didn't buy them. See, I rein myself in. And now I regret it. I did think, I wish I bought those.
Letra sent me a great big box of them and said, what can you do with these?
How do you get people to send you free materials?
Well, because, I don't know, just with the blog. But I was planning Derwent because I have a real thing about Derwent pencils and they're terrible.
All right, okay.
And I was fully like, and they contacted me to say, how about if we send you some pencils? I was like, I don't like them, so, to make me stop.
You should have gone, sure, and then I'll send them on to Tam.
Oh, okay, I like them.
Okay, you said, no, oh, no, I don't want pencils, sorry. Have you got anything else to send me?
I'll take the ink pens. They're all right.
So, hey, what about inks? Do you like using inks? Like spray inks and stuff?
I'll show you my box of inks here. Yeah, inks are a big favourite. The thing that, that's just the distress ink, some other inks. I've got all my other inks are upstairs. White ink. That is cool.
White, yeah.
And alcohol inks are pretty cool. I've just started, you can make your own alcohol markers. So, yeah, just ink in general. And I've got an absolute thing about Japanese sumi ink. That's my favourite.
What do you use that for? Do you use that?
In the aquash pens.
Mm-hmm. Just
ink in the pen.
Oh, okay.
And that's got the paintbrush tip.
Oh, okay. Oh,
but you can put acrylic ink, like the Liquitex acrylic ink. That's my favourite as well. Oh, I love that.
And where do you buy most of your stuff? Do you buy it online somewhere? Do you do Dick Blick, or have you got your own? Is it an Australian version?
Dick Blick, definitely. But it's like Dick Blick, the postage is pretty full on. But I get the stuff in a matter of days, and I love all their reviews and things, and they're so cheap. But I stock a lot of stuff because, I've got to import it for myself. So where do I, Dick Blick jet pens. Jet pens. I just did a great big pencil case order from Jet Pens the other day.
Jet Pens what?
But they've sent out a newsletter of pens and ink, and I almost don't want to open it because it's just cool. But I have a serious addiction, Pam.
Yes, I can see that. But it's good. We're all benefiting from your addiction, I think. Okay, now
I should show you an addiction of tapes. Oh my lord!
Say again.
Of tapes.
Yes.
Decorative tapes.
Yeah. Oh, yes. Little
tapes.
Do you add them to your journals, to your journal pages? Do you add them?
Yeah, I think I mainly have them in a drawer.
Yeah, exactly. You just look at them and go, oh, pretty.
And stencils. I keep on collecting stencils and stamps, and I really don't use them that much.
Well, stencils is something I really love because I have a few, but they're actually quite hard to buy. Like, I don't know where to go here in England, in the UK, to buy them. I never see them in art shops. You can order them online, but they're pretty expensive.
Coffee Break Designs. Look them up. They're in America.
Who?
And they're cool ones. Coffee Break Designs.
Coffee Break?
Yeah.
Coffee Break Designs. One word, yeah?
Yeah, actual really cool ones.
Okay.
And Tisha Moore does the best weird stamps.
Does she sell them? Oh, stamps. Okay.
Yeah. Zetiology, her and her husband.
Right, yes.
Her and Tracy, yeah. So you can usually find it through there, but they like cool ones, not too cutesy. But I find with stamps and stencils, scrapbook paper, you have to be very aware of the angel policy because I sell my work commercially and as, I've got it in galleries and things, I can't have things that are recognisable. in the page.
Yes,
So
yes.
stamps and things, I sort of try and find vintage.
Yes, it's hard.
Or
the
I've
whole
got a
copyright thing.
stamp machine. I've got a machine that makes stamps now.
Yes, that's awesome. I'm hoping to make my own stamps at some point. It's so nice. Yes, that's a really good idea. Just make your own, isn't it?
Yeah, but you can make them out of
Rubber and
erasers. That's my novel.
You are a multi-talented person. Yeah, I just make my own stamps out of erasers. Most people go, well, but I need a course. How do I do that? Okay, now, for myself, always I find myself continually wanting to try new things or go, oh, that's great, or I can try that, or, try new styles. And is there anything you are, like, I've seen recently that you thought, oh, that's something I really want to try out, like a different type of art form, technique, method, or not really? Are you happy with what you're doing?
I'm always trying new
materials,
new products, I guess.
Yes,
but
yes.
I suppose that's what an art journal is. Like this, I've got mine just here that I've
pretty.
It's. I suppose that's the whole thing with the journal. That is really different for me.
Yeah.
Layers, and making a mess and.
Yeah.
I make messes all the time, but mine is more drawy. So I suppose I am trying new things all the time in the journal.
Yeah.
But when I go to paint, I don't know. That's an interesting question. And I've got different styles that go in the different journals too. So I've got a journal that I have that's just mermaids that I've had for about 6 years.
That's so cool. That's a really interesting approach, actually.
If I cannot think of what to draw, I draw a mermaid. Even if you might not know it's a mermaid, I know it's a mermaid. But I've always loved and collected mermaids, so
that's interesting.
I've always mermaid.
I've never heard of anyone sort of categorizing their the type of paintings they do in different journals. Because I will have one journal where I work in, and I try to finish it, and sometimes I get bored and start on a new one. But I've never done that. Like just have one, let's say, mermaid journal, another maybe acrylics transfer journal only, or a banana journal, whatever. I find that fascinating. I don't know. I'm just saying that because I saw a banana here. Like, look.
I know what I need to tell you.
Okay.
My new favourite thing, this is what would come on the desert island with me. These things, the distress stains.
So how do you use these?
I use them for hair.
Oh, they're
like liquid watercolour.
And is that like a spongy thing at the top or something?
Yeah.
I see.
See, I'm into things where you don't have to use the paintbrush. Like, I love those those dabbers. And I put these same dabber things on other brands.
Okay.
There are all the craft paints, because the craft paints are the best ones for journals because they're matte. So everyone gets their knickers in a knot about
shiny
golden sugared acrylics.
Yeah.
I think it's because the bottle's cute. I've got those little tiny bottles. For me, they're too shiny. You can't write on them with anything. They're annoying.
They're sort of very glossy. I avoid buying them only because they're so expensive. But
I use golden for my paintings because it's beautiful paint.
Yeah, they're very good.
And the Cinere, of course, which is even more beautiful, even more expensive.
Okay.
I interviewed him.
Who? Tim.
It's so funny. I was going to Paris and I emailed Cinelier to say, could I film in the store, and would it be possible to maybe interview someone, for the art supply course? Because, that's one of the oldest art supply places opposite the Louvre. It's this amazing store. And when I got there, Monsieur Cinelier, Mr. Cinelier, was there and was like, oh, Jane, blah, blah, blah. I was just like, because he knew I was coming and he'd seen my photo and seen the website and stuff. It was hilarious. So
you interviewed him?
Yeah.
Oh, for you. This is on your course.
His grandfather invented oil pastels for Pablo Picasso.
No way. Oh my God! No, I don't. I thought I misheard you earlier. I thought you said Tim Holtz, so I misheard you. So who? Say the name again. Sorry, I was like, huh? What's his name? Say again.
Seneliac. You know, the
No, sorry. I'm the...
You know.
Oh, I have to go. Oh, all right. No, I don't know that brand. So the actual person.
These are the fanciest of the fancies.
Oh, see, I need to talk to you more to get myself educated. I see. Wow. And so, I hear my baby in the background screaming. I'm worried he can hear me, you see. So you got him to interview, and people can see this interview on your current Supplies Me course, yes?
Yeah. It's just funny. I don't even know why I'm talking about it. It's just, I get excited about those things, Tam.
I can understand. It's
like
meeting a celebrity, isn't it?
Well, see, for me that is.
Yes.
I mean, if I saw Tim Holtz, I probably would completely lose it.
I saw a video of him doing a massive course in front of with a screen. Was that recently on some art fest where he was doing a lesson, but it was filmed and it was on a screen behind him, and there was like hundreds of people behind desks in front of him, which I thought was pretty interesting. Yeah. Well, this is amazing. Now, nearly coming to the end of the interview, I think. I hope that this has saved this stupid software. But I wanted to ask you one last thing. What would advice? I've asked you before about what sort of advice would you give any artist, but also what advice would you give a struggling artist specifically? Because I think there's a lot of people wanting to, either get an income from their art or just want to be able to do art without having that nagging person in their head saying, you can't do this. So what is your advice to these people?
Well, for a start, you have to actually put the work in, and you've got to actually start doing it. It's more than thinking about it. You've got to do the work. That's the only way you get happier with what it is that you create. And that's persevering through the ugly stage, which all artwork goes through. It always goes through a stage. It waxes and wanes where you sort of can feel where you're going with something, and then it starts to look the way you want, and then it goes away from that, and it's very easy to walk away from it and put it away, and you really shouldn't. You can have a necessities break, toilet, something to eat, just not go and check your email, none of those things. Just give yourself a cup of tea, come back, do a bit more until you break the back of it, and then put it down. Otherwise, I just see it over and over again with people. They give up on themselves, and you're not going to be Michelangelo straight away. I don't know what it is about drawing in particular, but I think because we started drawing from so young, we think that we should be Renoir by the time we're 12 at least. And, of course, that doesn't happen. So you'd have to be very gentle on yourself because your style takes a while to come through. And if you hear someone saying to you, wow, how did you do that? Prick your ears up, because we think it's easy when we're doing it because we're doing it, so we think everyone can do it. But if you hear those words or words to that effect, how did you do that? That's amazing. Those sorts of things. You really need to listen and look exactly at what they're talking about, because they are little clues. The other thing is to learn how to read a contract. If you're really serious about publishing, licensing, getting your work into galleries, you really have to deliver on time and know how to read a contract so that you aren't expecting things that aren't going to happen. It takes a long time, and you also have to think that, sorry, this is a very long answer. It takes... Being an artist is a huge reward in itself, and it's unlikely that you will become rich and famous doing it. Because most people won't persevere. You're not going to starve, and it doesn't need to be a struggle, but it takes time. Because there's so many people that will do it, that want to be in the arts. But the internet's changed everything. So, you know, to publish a book, to, you know, get our work out there is just, we're living in a golden opportunity time. You know, we can all see each other's work. There are no gatekeepers. All of that sort of stuff is disappearing. And so it's a very exciting time, but it's, you know, there's a lot of people trying to do it. You just have to be patient. Patient and do lots and lots of artwork.
Yes.
Lots of artwork.
Yes. Well, thank you. Thank you so much for talking to me today.
Oh, it's my pleasure, Tom. You know I love you.
Oh, I love you too. And just for the people, if they want to know more about you or if they want to take a course with you, they can go to janedavenport.com. I'll put the link up under. And your Supply As Me course remains open throughout, so people can just come and join that course. And are you preparing a new online course, am I right? Yeah,
it's called I Heart Drawing, and it's fashion illustration. I've developed a system out of Love Heart so that you can draw a body in proportion.
Oh, great. Okay, exactly what we're talking about.
Twist it around any way you like.
Yes, okay. So an anatomically correct drawing, hey? Right, okay, cool.
But easy. You don't have to do 10, 20 years of life drawing and have baggy old men bending over in front of you naked.
That's the second time you've given me that image in my head.
Well, it's burned into mine. Why shouldn't I share it?
Because not everyone wants it in their heads. It's okay. And you in Australia, you're based in Byron Bay. Yeah, right, which I was told. I was told by Andy, who lived in Sydney for a year, that Byron Bay is the hippie capital of Australia. But you run some.
It used to be. It's too expensive here now. It's all celebrities. Celebrities need to be hippies.
Okay.
My husband surfs regularly with Jack Johnson, so that's our little claim to.
Oh, wow. It's a fame. Claim to fame.
And Pink is one of my customers. Whenever she's in town, she's got a house here.
Who?
Lots of celebrities.
Who did you
say?
Pink. Oh, right. Okay. Let's get this party started. Right? Yes. But you, if people are in your area, you also run workshops in your Institute of Cute, correct?
Yes.
You have done. I've seen pictures of it, so I know you have. Yeah. I'm not sure if there's any. So anyway, so they can get in contact with you if they wanted to meet you face to face and have you be part of your workshops. Cool.
Yeah.
I want to come to Australia and be part of your workshops one day.
Oh, yeah, you can come and stay with me.
Yay. And also, you are going to be teaching at, I can't remember which festival this is, but which one is it? Is it Art Fest or is it, which?
No, it's at, she's got the Art Fest Annex. So it's the school, Tisha Moore's school. So they have really fantastic teachers there. And Tisha's one of these people who says she can't draw, she can, and she wants me to teach her how to draw faces. So that's one of my superpowers.
Superpower. How to draw faces. And
I'm going to teach her.
And when is that happening? This is January, am I right?
End of January. So yes, all the American people come along. So then I've got visions of us, because it's in Seattle, so we'll be able to go to the coffee shop and just journal.
Seattle, okay, so it's in Seattle, end of January. So if they want to find out more about it, it'll be on your website as well. Am I right?
Sure is, yeah.
Okay.